So, semi-recently, someone challenged me in one of my walker videos, I don't remember specifically which one, to make a, like, tripede walker, something that can walk with three legs, and I figured, that sounds interesting, and I'm not even sure how to program the cycle for that, so I wanted to make a video about it. Since I don't really even know how to start here, I think I'm gonna try and start with some of the logic, because I was thinking, with two legs, you have a double like system for so that you can alternate it back forth, back forth, back forth. And you also have that with four legs, and then you just group up the back left leg and the front right leg. But for this, we have three legs, so I almost wonder if we need three cycles. So how we're going to do this is we're going to set all of these to delay, not delay. We're going to set all of them to W. This one is going to, well, I think all of them are going to run for 0. Let's just do 0.3. So then this one has to pause for 0.3, and then this one has to pause for 0.6 to let these two go through it. So this one has to pause for 0.6 because it has to wait for these two, and this one also has to pause for 0.6 because it has to wait for this one and then this one to start back over. So that should be... that is not a correct cycle. Interesting. And that is because the pause on these other ones did not reset. Okay. So I think that that's gonna work. Okay, that is what I wanted there. So we have first leg, second leg, third leg. I'm gonna set this to more, because I think I'm gonna go for like a slower walker design, but I want it to have like a time for each leg to work. Because I also don't want like one leg to be on its own and then two legs to pair up, because that's just basically having two legs, like this. So I want it to be step, 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 and not step, 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 like two at once over here. So I do want three here, but I think I'm gonna move this up to be like 0.6, and then this is gonna be 1.2. Because this has to be twice what this is, because there's two gates in front of it. This is gonna wait 0.6, and then it's gonna also duration for 0.6. And then it's gonna pause for, I think, also 0. Not 0.6, 1.2, which is twice 0.6. This we're going to do 1.2 for this, because it has to wait for these two. And then 0.6 and 1.2. So that should be just a longer... Oh, that is not working how I expected. Oh, that's because this didn't set itself to that. I wonder why that's, like, happening, why it's unsetting what I programmed the logic to do. But yeah, that seems to work. Although I did just realize something. If I have all of these set to be one at a time, then on the backstroke of the leg, it's going to take way longer than going forwards. So I think I'm going to set each of these to be 0.6 pause. So then what that'll do is... It looks odd, but it is a cycle. That is 1, 2, 3, but the first one restarts itself. However, I think that what that causes is the first one and the last one to be in sync. So I want to see if I can actually change how much these are delayed for. Like, maybe I can go for 0.3, or even a number that's not on the multiple, like the multiples list of it, I think. These are both not working properly. And this has to be 0.6. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted. Because each one stays for a little bit, and then it's all equal, like, pause to when it's happening. So it's one at a time, but it is on for as long as it is off. Okay, so I've hooked it up to some NOR gates, and hooked it directly, like, 1-to-1, so this is connected to this, this to this, and this to this. So it'll automatically go like that, but then if I hit W, then it will cycle these. So now I think what we have to do from here is duplicate all of these, just directly up here, and then I'm not sure which one we have to take out of the cycle. We have to take out the negative from here, and then we have to keep the positive, except I want these to be flipped, so it's going to act like a knee joint. So this is going to be at -1 speed. So then when we go forwards, it's going to bend backwards. Okay. And I'm going to set the angle on these to be more. So I'm going to set this to be maybe like a 90-degree angle. So that way it is going to be like a significant step. Now what we're going to do is make these have the duration of... I think having a 0.3 duration will do what I want, but I want them to go out and then, like, undo the thing. Yeah, much like that. And then actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this leg out to be on the outside, so it's just a little bit more balanced of a cycle. And I think I can just do that by selecting it like this, moving this back, selecting this, moving this way, and then reselecting that from this angle, and moving it over to here. Okay, so I think that this is working. However, I'm not sure how it's going to actually walk. Each motion should be propelling it forwards because it's more extended on the return back than it is on the going forwards. So it should be fine. And like when it's going forwards, it's going to retract, and when it's going downwards, it's going to extend, meaning that it'll be on the ground while it's going backwards, meaning that it will propel itself. But I do have to flip this over. So the very basic test, I'm just going to do this, but I also want to have gyro stabilizers on this, because there's no way that I can make this without using some form of stability. I'm sure that I actually could, but also that it seems more difficult than it needs to be, so I'm just going to use gyros. Okay, so what I think what it's doing right now is it is bouncing because it doesn't have proper support on the other legs, because the other legs are down when it's going up, so it kind of like flicks the ground and then bounces like that. So, as you can see there, it kind of just flicks it. So I think what I can do here is I can actually take all of these and then set the output not to -1, but to negative like 0.7, and then what that's going to do is it's going to make them go less far back as they go forwards. So what that's going to do is just eliminate the flicking because the base position that they're in is taller. Okay, I think the problem right now is that when it's dragging its foot, it has another foot planted on the ground. So I think what I need to do is have the NOR logic gates from this running into this part of the foot. So like when the front foot is taking a step, this foot, which is currently planted, needs to come back a little bit. Come to think of it, I don't think that's going to work because of the duration on these, but this system kind of works. I've reorientated the legs so I could better make sense of it. And I don't think that this is too bad. I think that the angle on these definitely needs to be greater now. You know what? Out of curiosity, I wonder what happens if I set all of these to be, like, -10. Not -10, -0.10. So it's really just, like, not much. 0.10. So that way it's only going forwards, extending, and then coming back down. I don't know about that. Okay, so I've set the speed on the top ones to be way less, and this is actually working a lot better. It was bouncing, and I just thought, wait a minute, what if I just lower the speed on the top one? And then it completely worked, so I'm actually going to set these back to -0.7, -0.7, and then I'm going to see how that performs. Is this still doing the flick, however? It is, meaning that we actually, with this speed, need these to be on even less than that, so -0.4. How does that work? It's definitely still flicking. I think we need the duration of these to be longer, to be honest. 0.34, maybe? Because we need this to only extend when it's in the fully extended phase. I've lowered the speed on those as well, and this seems to be working a lot better. Okay, so I think that this is running as smooth as I want it to be. So I think what we're going to do here is polish up the legs, and I want to move one of them to behind if I can. And then move this one, if I can just get all of that one. I'll have to move that back. I'll move that one to, like, right here, maybe? Yeah, I think that checks out. And then we can move this back to over here. So then, how does this work? After the initial bounce, I think that this is great. I've now unbound that, and I've also modified the leg design a little bit. Like, I've added the slopes on top of the 2x1s. I have the 2x1x1s there. And on top of the 2x2x2, the 2x2x1s, I am good at part names, don't worry about it. And I think that this is decently stable. I've also increased the stiffness of the suspension a little bit, so it's really not that bad. I've modified the legs some more. I have modified this. We don't need quite so many gyros, so I've cut it down. I've put the logic inside the legs, and I've changed the seat. And basically, this works about as well as I could have imagined. Like, this is pretty decent for this, and I kind of want to decorate it some more, but honestly, this is in a working function where I like it. And I kind of want it to have, like, a sitting down animation that's not this, and I want to bend the front legs, which means that I don't want to hook all of these directly up into these things, because I don't want this to be on a 0.4 duration for when I'm hitting shift. But what I do want this to be is on an XOR gate that has a 0.34 duration, so we can have this run into an XOR gate that runs into this, and this can be independently toggled without it, like, only sticking for 0.34. And what that looks like is disconnecting this completely from this, connecting that to this gate, which has a 0.34 duration, which is then connected to this gate, meaning that if I press shift, then this still has the duration, and I forgot to reset that. But if I set this to 0, then it can walk just fine, and then if I hold shift, this bends its legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a completely separate XOR gate, which I'm going to grab from right there. I'm going to program this to be left shift, but I'm only going to make this negative 0.7, because these already have a slight negative signal coming from the walking. So if I then hook these up into that, which should act the same as holding left shift normally, then I can configure both of these, delete the left shift control, and then that is reversing that. Okay. So let's try 0.7, maybe. Yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. So now we can have, like, a sort of sitting position, and we can have going forwards just fine. Oh, I figured out what happened. I put the left shift on this to be negative, and then I made it negative, so it just had double flipped it. And then what I want to have it is that I want to have this here, invert trigger so that it only activates while I'm inside, and then I want to hook that up to automatically trigger both of these. And then we can also have it trigger this, which means that we are going to have to remove this and set this to negative 0.7. But it means that if we get out, it is going to get, like, it is going to sneak down so that we can get back in it, and it'll go back up. So that when you want to get in, you can kind of just hop up here, get in, and if you want to get out, it will sometimes kick you out completely, but sometimes you can land on this, it'll put you down there, and then you can just pop off. I think that that's a neat feature. You know what, I'm actually going to hook up the distance sensor directly into the NOR gates. So it should auto turn those off, meaning that it can level out perfectly like that. And if I have this hooked up to this one as well, then I think what we can do is find the logic gate, which is right here, that is connected to this, and just have it be -1. Okay, so I've actually flipped this leg around to be a mirror of this, and then just made these negative, and it's actually worked perfectly fine the first time. So that if I get out, it does this still, and then I can just walk forwards, and it's fine. We're actually going at a not bad speed. I think we're going like 5 up to like 20-ish, 21 kilometers per hour, which for something this simple that's not even trying to be fast, I would say that that's decent. Okay, I've built some more of his body. I've added these shoulder things and the back thing there. I think I like it. If I get out, it kind of just like rotates down and then tops off. I can just walk up here, and then get back in. And I think that this is pretty cool. I think I should paint it up. Okay, so I have it all painted, and here we have it. The three-legged walker. I honestly thought that this was going to be a lot harder than I made it, but I think I broke it down well enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you celebrate the holiday today, then happy holiday, and see ya.